Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out to memorial service for Coaldale. We'd like to have the national anthem by Zachary Gilbert. Zach.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great rendition, Zach. Hit him up. He has 100 tickets to the All-Star game. Now we'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance with all present, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to have the invocation by the pastor, Sandra Garcia, United Methodist Church of Coaldale. Pastor.
Let us bow our heads. Gracious, sovereign God, Lord of all nations, on this Memorial Day we pause to reflect upon the blessings as a nation and the high cost of those blessings. We offer our prayers of thanks and intercession. Thank you for the freedom we enjoy in this country, for opportunities to flourish, and for the security of our land. Thank you for those who have served in the armed forces of our country, risking their lives for our liberty, sacrificing in such a costly way for the sake of others, including me. It is because of all they have done that we are able to experience freedom today. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Now we'll have a musical rendition by the Panther Valley High School Band. Mark? Thank you very much, Mark. Now we'll have the Gettysburg Address by Seth Frizzell. Seth?
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who have gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we are highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Great job, Seth. Thank you very much. Now we'll have Speaker, Mayor of Coaldale, Joel Johnson. Mayor.
Good afternoon, Coaldale. Thank you for including me in this Memorial Day observance. You will note that I did not use the word celebration because this is not a celebration. We come together to remember men and women who served our country in all wars and conflicts we have endured as a nation. Most importantly, we gather here to remember those Coaldale residents who gave the ultimate, their lives, to protect our freedoms we continue to enjoy every day. You have no doubt heard radio and television commentators ask people, what is the greatest threat to the United States? I do not believe it's inflation, terroristic threats, the stock market, or even President Obama himself. I do believe that our children and grandchildren do not know how to be patriotic, and they do not have a sense of what it is to be a true American and what living in the greatest nation on earth truly means. Each morning, school children repeat the Pledge of Allegiance in school, but too often it becomes a repetitive exercise with little or no meaning. Freedom is not free, and unless young people understand the sacrifices your generation and mine made at the World Wars, Korean War, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq, we are doomed as a nation. So today, let us come together as a community and remember those brave men and women of Coaldale that sacrificed so much so we can stand here today. And let us also thank the courageous families that we left behind. Please, God bless all you for all your sacrifices. God bless Coaldale. God bless the United States. May she always be the greatest nation on earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Now we'll have Flanders Field by Noah Easterly. Noah?
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Very nice, Noah. Thank you very much. This is about our guest speaker today, ladies and gentlemen. Major New is currently Senior Army Instructor for Panther Valley Junior ROTC. He is retired from active duty September 1st, 2014, after completing more than 20 years of active duty service. He first enlisted in 1990 to serve the 314th Infantry Army Reserve in Harrisburg, PA, as an 11 Hotel anti-armor infantryman. In October 1991, Major New enlisted in the active Army, then reported to D Company 187th Infantry, 101st Airborne Assault, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, as an 11 Hotel. In 1994, Major New received a U.S. Army Green to Gold Scholarship to attend Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee. After completing his college education in 1997, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Armor Branch. While serving as an armor officer, he served for the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment, Fort Carson, Colorado. As a troop commander in the 165th Cavalry Squadron, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Chief of Armor and Cavalry Tactics, Armor Officer Basic Course, 216 Cavalry Regiment, Fort Knox, Kentucky. His civilian education is as follows. He has a Bachelor of Science in History from Austin Peay State University, 1997. Master of Education in Adult and Continuing Education from Kansas State University, 2009, and is currently completing a Master of Science in Sports Leadership from Duquesne University. He will graduate this year in August. Major New is married to Carrie and they reside in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Mrs. New was raised in Horton, Wisconsin. They have one daughter, Amber, who is currently in the Pennsylvania National Guard and competing AIT in Fort Gordon, Georgia. Her specialties are in communication equipment repair specialist. Upon completion of AIT, she will return to California University of Pennsylvania to pursue a degree in communication. I'd like to introduce you to now Major New.
Well, we were blessed with beautiful weather today. Earlier this week, we were wondering if the spring forgot about us and we jumped right back into fall again. So I'm glad to see the sun's back and it's warm and everybody's able to join us. I'd like to thank the United Veterans Service Organization of Schuylkill County, Coaldale, VFW Post 6982, American Legion Post 170. Mayor Johnson, thank you for attending as well. Memorial Day, or as it was originally known as Decoration Day. And if you want a brief history on that, you can please refer to the back of your programs. If you have one, you'll get an understanding of the origins of it. But let me just touch on a few notes from it. Again, Memorial Day, or Decoration Day, as it was originally known during the American Civil War, was a way for personnel to serve or to provide memory for those who died in service to their country. While the origins are really not known or the inspiration behind it, many track it back to the Gettysburg Address. Those terms and those words spoken by Abraham Lincoln that day talk about memory and honoring those who served and died for what the cause was. So whether those words were the inspiration, the first real Memorial Day, what they attribute to was in 1868, when the Civil War veterans gathered to remember their past, their fallen past brethren. As we move forward to the early 1900s, the remaining veterans of both North and South decided to join their separate events into one. to remember and memorialize those who passed away during that conflict and others that proceeded after it. Then in the 1940s, the name was changed, or at least in popular reference, from Decoration Day to Memorial Day. Then in 1967, Congress passed a federal act officially changing the name to Memorial Day. And in that same act, they also designated May 30th as the official day. In 1971, Congress then updated the act to the Uniform Monday holiday, which is currently where the memorial resides, or the Memorial Day resides, the last day of May. Regardless of the passage of the bill, or where it began, or why it began, the importance is that we're here to remember the sacrifices of the many armed service members and other government agencies like the CIA, FBI, police, firefighters, and even those American patriots who never served in the military, for those who died defending our ideas and principles. So we're here to remember them and remember their memories for those of you who knew them. Events that stuck to us that many people don't really remember, but some of us do. The 1983 Beirut bombing in Beirut, where several Marines and several civilians who were supporting them passed away. The 1995 World Trade Center bombing, where several innocent civilians doing their jobs, Americans, perished in that day. 1996, the Oklahoma City federal bombing. Many Americans passed away that day, to include people who just were there to answer simple questions, believing that America was the right place for them. And then most recently, those who died in the 9/11 flights, the crash into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 93, where many believe they were the first true victims who saved and turned the first true fight in our favor in the battle against terrorism. So we're here to remember them and all that they stood for and all that they served. While some of those events may seem so far away from us, in miles and some even in years, we must remember that our local history also portrayed in some of those stories. Our local veterans also passed a great service to us, and we're here to remember them as we carry their torch forward, as they taught us the values and ethics of both and others around us of the traditions of Coaldale and Schuylkill County. So people from this area have been defending our freedoms, liberties, and property ever since the Civil War, and I bet if we do some research, we'll find even further back than that. But we'll focus on those people right now that we can remember our names. They're not just names in the crowd or off to our park, to our right, or even down in seat. They're just not names on those plaques. To some people, they were a friend, they were a brother, a sister, a husband, a wife, or just an acquaintance that they knew in passing. But either way, we are eternally indebted to them for what they provided to us. It's people like Captain Norman Lewis Nestorek of the HHC 8th Engineer Battalion, 1st Cav Division, who died in Vietnam in 1969. Sergeant George Lucas, USMC, died on Mount Suribachi. What most people don't know is he was awarded the 2nd Navy Cross for heroism during that battle. Private Joseph Herring, Company H, 11th PA Infantry, Coaldale, killed in the Civil War. So even the words Abraham Lincoln spoke to him and his family. And we cannot forget the 1965 Panther Valley class, where they had 80 members join, whether it was enlist or they were drafted, go off to fight in Vietnam. So we are here to remember those who did not return, memorialize those who did not return from that great conflict, and to those who are also in our hearts and soul. But for those who we do know, there are also many we don't know who are still listed as missing in action. Now the list is long and it's spread across country, but believe it or not, that tragedy even hit here. Charles J. Sahara, a member of the 34th BG out of this great city. Right. You all right? So as Charles O'Hora, a member of the 34th BG out of this great borough, is still classified as an MIA. We remember his service and sacrifice to our great country and really to our community as a beacon of light on what to do when time is called. His sacrifices and the many sacrifices will allow us to remain free to this day. But we're not limited with that. As you discussed, there are service organizations and individuals committed to keeping the memory of those around us alive. There are organizations much like the Coaldale Alumni Association. That high school association has kept the memory alive in the history of this area. If you look around, you'll see streets like Moser Street and Bull Run Street. Those are important because General Moser was a leader in Bull Run in the Civil War. And also as one of the original members of this town. So they named the streets after them to remember and keep our memories alive, and to keep his memory alive. Also, we have before us on the right-hand side, individuals like Mr. Gaddis, a member of our community, who took time out of his day to dedicate and design this memorial with the hands of Susan Fennick, who painted the mural of the American flag on Iwo Jima. Their efforts to be commended for keeping the memory alive. But it's just not their effort, it's our effort. We must remember that we're here to serve them just as much as they served us and keep their memory alive. Because remember, they're not just names or plaques on the wall, they're somebody's memory. We're here to make sure that memory lives forever. So in closing, whether the origins of the day or the exact date may not be known, but we all know that we're here to keep the memory alive of those who sacrificed defending our freedoms, values, and liberties. So without their stories, it will be lost forever in the place of history. So today, keep in mind those who passed before us and keep their memory alive. Thank you all for attending.
This next award we have here was supposed to go to either me or Major New. They put in all the names in the hat, and I just found out my name wasn't put in the hat. Major, please step forward. This presentation goes to Gerald A. New, Major U.S. Army retired, with grateful appreciation for your participation as guest speaker at the Coaldale Borough and Coaldale Sikh Memorial Day services, presented by the United Veterans Organization, Coaldale, PA, May 24, 2015. He's a fine gentleman, ladies and gentlemen. I guess it's a tough way to lose the award, but he got a better hat than I did. The next gentleman I'd like to introduce, we talk about the Battle of the Bulge. Ladies and gentlemen, you people in Coaldale have somebody that's born and raised here in Coaldale and served and was at the Battle of the Bulge. Battle of the Bulge was started on December 16, 1944. There was 610,000 American soldiers at that battle. 89,000 were wounded in 3 days, and 19,000 were killed in 3 days. If you want to see what 610,000 people are, the following counties, all the men 18 and older would be gone. Carbon, Schuylkill, Lehigh, Berks, Luzerne, and Lebanon County. There would be no men in those counties. They would all been at this Battle of the Bulge. And we have somebody, ladies and gentlemen, that was at that battle and was miraculously made it back unscathed. I'd like to introduce Nick Barashchak.
people in Coaldale know me. And I've been checking this obituary list. I have 33 and a half years of service. The veterans that have died since last Memorial Day, 25 November 2014, are as follows. Edward Schober, Steve Tippy Tantillo, Robert D. Love, Thomas J. Davis, August M. Agigola, Matthew Starry, Michael Semko, Corey Michael Samuel, Roman Tantello Jr., William S. Sheetram, Joseph Lutzko, Robert L. Harris, Norman Furman, Leonard Lenny Polk, John Zenzel, Simon Sky Stefaniak, John D. Stefaniak, Elizabeth Betty Vincent, Kenneth McGeehan, and Edward Pee Wee Mance. May they rest in peace and God bless them.
Thank you, Nikki. We'll now have the rifle salute by Panther Valley ROTC. We'll now have the benediction by Pastor Garcia. Pastor.
There is no greater love than this, to lay down one's life for his friends. This is the reason why we are here this day, to give tribute, respect, remembrance, and honor to all the men and women of our armed forces who obtain God's glory by laying down their lives for us and others who call upon for their help. For they carried themselves as soldiers as they did it with God's grace. May God bless their very souls and protect those soldiers who are now standing even in harm's way. Let us continue to lift them up in prayer. May God bless this country with his love. May God bless this country in his care. And may God forever hold us and ours in his holy embrace and grant us peace now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Before we go on any further, I'd just like to invite everyone here today to the American Legion for some refreshments and also the VFW. So when this is done, please don't feel like you have to go home. Come and enjoy. We'll now have the final selection by the Panther Valley Band.
Thank you, Mark. Very well done, man. Thank you, Jim, and all the American Legion Color Guard, Honor Guard, thank you very much. And the JORTC, thank you. God bless you.